Hello and welcome to Pens, Paint and Whiskers. In this part 2 of designing an OC, you could call it, I'm going to do some not skin tones for humans, but skin tones for underworld denizens. I've been designing this little character all along. In the last few videos and in one of my OC 4-parter. So I'm going to show you guys on film what it is like to not blend skin tones, but it might be useful for sort of blending if you're doing any creatures, even nature in real life creatures that have quite unusual stripes. So for this, I'm using my Ohuhu A4 Sketchbook in 200 GSM, and I'm not using Ohuhu markers. I'm actually using a brand that I really like too, called Graphit markers. I think they're a French brand. So anyway, I have done some colour plans off screen, and I'm just going to show you this little guy here, or creature. So he's got quite a mean looking sort of spurs on him. So I will go over them on film potentially. And his body has quite unusual markings in that he's got quite a lot of stripes, but he's also a gradient in kind of pinks to whites to these dark kind of navy. So quite pretty looking and quite unusual, and yeah, so, and in different pose, and with the wings I think that one is quite funny. It makes him look a little bit like a velociraptor. That's my opinion anyway. So I did a little experiment with colours in my last video. So here I'm going to do what colours I have planned for him here on screen. And if you can see with his body, I have made a sort of a plan on what I want to do for him. And off screen, I did a little bit on screen yesterday, but off screen I have made him a uniform. So this is going to be clipped out, and it's going to cover him here, so you can lift the flap and see a dressed version and an undressed version. So yeah, so that's why he's got the pink kind of neck stripes and then these little kind of clawed hands. So yeah, so I'm going to do his body now, and I envision sort of beiges and pinks. It's going to be a little bit difficult doing all of these and remembering with shadows where everything is. So hopefully it will go ahead. I've picked greys and sort of charcoals for his body. And so you go over to what I do is, I've also got my coffee, so I'll take a little drinking break. So what I do is I start with the lightest shade first and I build up. If that's not your technique, that's okay, but it's my technique. So I just come in bold with these. So that's quite a dark charcoal, so we may only need one darker shade. If it's, as you can see, it's sort of behaving a little bit darker than I had remembered. These markers are really beautiful. Where I am, you can only, I believe you can pick them up in small bundles. Not necessarily like a Ohuhu marker. So I just have to, every time I'm in an art shop that supplies them, I just grab a handful. They're really juicy, really beautiful flow on them. And as you can see, really great colours. Some of the colours they do, Ohuhu I noticed, don't have them. So what you gain on the swings, you lose on the roundabout, I suppose. But that one has a slightly more navy sort of perhaps tone to it, so I'm going to use that one. And I have to remember, as this little fella here has kind of bat wings, where the folds in the wings should be, and I'm not too worried about shadow here. We'll do a little blend in a few minutes. Yeah, so, and these markers have a sort of brush nib, and they actually have a very small little fiber tip nib, so very handy for small details. I did his horns in the fiber tip nib. Ohuhu would, with their, sometimes the set I have, it didn't allow for that, so one of the reasons I choose these markers. And I like using them. So I've just laid down the darker the darker charcoal for shadow. So I wonder, no, I can't zoom in now, but what I'm doing is just sort of going over it and dragging the darker tones outwards. Yeah, so you can kind of see that there's a highlight there, and I might go over it in this video even, or maybe not, highlighting them in white. Now the problem with this little fella is his claws do overlap with his wings, and his claws have the same gradient of his hands end in this navy as well. So yeah, that's going to be a little bit tricky. So I might go over that in white too. Not necessarily in this video, but in another video I might show what I do in a situation like that. So I've just put a dark tone in his inner arm. So now I'm dragging it out again with my lighter charcoal. It's a little bit difficult to see, so that's okay at this stage, that's fine. No need to worry. What I'll do is I'll highlight that at a later stage. And yeah, so he has, actually might be a good idea to try some of that pink. So there's a dark and a pink stripe. Oh, wrong nib. So I'm going to see how it performs with dark to light. And I'm not being too precious about how I want these stripes to blend. They're not that uniform, except they are a little bit. So yeah, there we go. And then the rest of his body is quite a nice kind of camel beige sort of, yeah, these kind of camel beige colours. So, and I envisioned that he has a white belly and little sort of white spots down his chest, as you can probably see here. Yeah, so unusual markings. If you've been following along, or you have seen me make the first designs for him on the film, yeah, so he's, I'm still not sure what he is. He's some sort of underworld creature, and I was thinking that he potentially, his powers are intuitive, in that he sort of has a sense on what's going to happen. He does know about a little bit, not necessarily like a fortune teller, but a little bit like one, that potentially if he makes skin contact with anyone, whether it's accident or not, he'll be able to tell what everything down to what they last ate and what's in their past. And at the same time, if he wants to divine the future, he has that power too. It's a method that is quite, well, for YouTube standards, I won't get into details here, but involves reading organs. So yeah, a little bit of gore involved there, but we won't say any more. Yeah, so that's what I envision for him. And as for his name, I haven't quite decided yet, though I did envision that he should not be a he. I have to get out of the habit of initially saying he, but he might indeed be a they, because for the benefit of sort of designing this creature, I have added in, you might be able to see it more in later videos, a little egg, meaning that they come from eggs. But yeah, so he might be a they, and I quite like the name Ren on him, so R-H-E-N, or them. I like the name Ren on them. So yeah, it's the closest in what I had envisioned. And I imagine on his body, so these stripes, yeah, it's easier to see with this beige here, but what I'm doing is sort of pulling the dark back over the light in circular motions. That would be my easiest method of blending. Yeah, so they blend really, really well, especially when you get colours that are in the same tones and same shades. Now, so I imagine these little sort of white spots on his chest here. He has 3. I might try and see, can I zoom you guys in? I can. No, yeah. So there we go. So now you can see his egg, well, the species egg, better there. And these little white spots, I do like them. So I think they might change colour, or they might flush or blush even at, I don't know, in times of high emotion or high stress even. The same situation going on his face, that these stripes might do a little bit of flushing or blushing, either or. And yeah, and changing colours from light to dark depending on how he's feeling. The reason I thought this was, if you can see, his face has quite strange stripes and markings, and for other creatures that he is with, not necessarily of whatever species he is, but because of the facial stripes, it sort of always looks like they're happy, or they're pleasant, or they're friendly. A little bit like a dolphin with a mouth that smiles, and we always, well, smiles, and we always think, oh, it's friendly and it's happy. That's not necessarily the case. With these guys, I thought something similar, in that he should have something else other than a facial expression that mistakenly tells everybody he's feeling happy. He should have another method of communication. So I envisioned that that method of communication should be this these patches here that would blush and would change colour to indicate certain emotions, and if whoever is unable to read certain emotions, well, that's on them, but he has his means of communicating anyway. We'll do more blending on his collarbone. Yeah, so he does normally wear clothes, of course, but I just wanted to sort of showcase what markings his body has. And yeah, and when I put him together in the final video, hopefully I'll do it on camera, but hopefully I can clip the uniform piece on the previous page out and stick it over this one, so it opens like a little window. No. Yeah, and I imagine he's got, there's some white as well on him, so I have to be quite careful. But the character he is, and why Ren might be in a uniform, is I have an idea for ages and ages back. Came up with an idea for something called a Celia battalion. Basically in the 1800s, a seam was found in our world, normal world, their world, and these mythological creatures came through and they could see us and see what we were doing. And they liked what we were doing in terms of our technology, but some of them took to using our weapons, others did not. And that's where the uniforms come into it. That kind of style, anyway. They might have thought, oh, organised, fleshy uniforms. So they decided to make them themselves and wear them themselves and organise themselves into a fighting force. And yeah, that's how the Celia battalion happened. And I don't do much with the OCs in that, but I do like to draw them from time to time. I'm not so good on the story making aspects of everything. I just like to draw unusual things, or design what I would deem interesting looking characters. And yeah, so he has got so that's where Ren comes into it, and that's why I showed him in a uniform in his last, in the previous page. So that's why he's wearing that uniform. Now, as for, he does have wings, so I would imagine in the other world, or the Celia realm or underworld, they have clothing and weapons and all sorts that would allow for body differences. I imagine with his uniform, he sort of has to step into it from arms first, and it clips around the back. It's the only way I can think, anyway, you would have of dressing a character with wings. As for his talons, so he does have heel spurs. I don't know. He also has wrist spurs. I don't know how he would use weapons, unless maybe he clips these heel and wrist spurs. I don't know. If he clips them, are they painful? I don't know. And is that just the sacrifice he has to make? I don't know. But I do like him a lot, or I like the colours he's in a lot. And in my next film of him, when he's back on film again, I should have did all of this, and I should be maybe mainly making touch-ups and maybe other kind of ideas for his character. But yeah, I just thought I'd film the process and take you through how I come up with an OC and the steps involved in designing and making one, and the ideas behind why they look a certain way or why they act a certain way. So this is Ren anyway, so my other OCs I probably will draw again on film. I do have quite a lot of them, so I'll have to pick which ones and maybe do a video showcasing them, or even a little challenge of sketching them all together in about maybe 10 minutes. Might be fun. There's enough of them anyway to get a few film videos, we'll say. And yeah, so those are his big wings. So they're slaty, charcoaly grey. I've probably mentioned this every single video I make, but I never do black. I don't like adding in black into my pieces because many artists will tell you that black is not a good colour for warmth, or really you can't really do a whole lot with it. It does tend to dull a piece. Now if you're going for that look, if you're going for a piece to be kind of that mode, kind of murkyish or kind of colourless or monochrome mode, that's fine. Then you would probably need black, but anything I do where it requires shadow, I never use black. As you've probably noticed here, I'm not using black on Ren's wings. I'm using grey and charcoal. But his wings are certainly black, but I'm not using them. I'm not using black here because I think it would muddy him a lot. It would dull his tones. I want to keep his tones still very warm, because he's got beige and pink and white and dusky lilac on him. So I want to keep nice warm tones on him, so I don't use black. I use very dark sort of charcoal grey, and it still works. I think it works anyway. And yeah, so there he is in his glory. Well, he's not in his glory yet, but he will be. And hopefully when you guys come back in the next part, if you choose to stick around, you'll see more bits, the rest of the page filled out with him. So on his lower body here, I'm giving him, I envisioned it, he has quite a white belly and thighs, so the front area of him is all white, white and pink, and you probably can't, well, not in this one, but there is the little beige stripes, and probably around the back of his thighs. And I had a grey here, a very, very light grey, so that shade, and I'm just going to do some more blending with that. So yeah, what I'm doing is lifting the dusky pigment up and into the grey and the white. Yeah, so, and all along here. So it can be slightly more difficult to blend, but I think it looks well so far. And yeah, oh, his tail. His tail is, again, grey. So everything from his spine downwards on the back is kind of charcoal and black, but he has a gradient to hands and feet, which I really like. I think that's an unusual design, is darker along the arms. It's a little bit harder to pull off with his skin tones. They're more sort of sectioned, or more more kind of formal stripes. They're not really they're not blendable, or his sort of skin designs are not very blendable. Yeah, so, and even I'm gonna do his tricorn actually, because he has one. I thought it would be quite funny for on YouTube, or for the purposes of YouTube, maybe that he's shielding himself with his tricorn. Yeah, so I'm doing that in the closest colour to black as I can possibly manage, because a tricorn is of course velvety. Yeah, so that's not black, but hopefully I can convince myself it's black, and I can convince others it's black. Yeah, so, and for my last little bit on him, I'm going to go over his stripes with a Posca 0.7 millimeters. So I'm going to sort of segregate his stripes, because I imagine he has little white sections that segregate his stripes. And I do think he needs a little bit more white on him. Yeah, so as you can see, the Posca, brilliant tool for doing such a thing. It's given him these stripes, so we'll do another one here, and his face is going to have them. So when he comes back in the next part that you see him, he should be even more stripy. So there should be more white on him. Yeah, so I like the idea that he's also got a white kind of, or a little pink kind of strip going down his jaw, and it finishes at the top of his collarbone. Now these patterns are not very not so uniform on both sides, but that's okay. And yeah, so, and I might highlight his claws. So yeah, mean looking claws. Yeah, and we'll do a little bit on his face. So this is the close-up of him. Yeah. So I like the idea that he has a little pink nose, and there's sort of little pink kind of white lines on his brows, and yeah, and stripes. So that's what I envision he actually does look like. And in the next video, this will all be done, and I'll just probably just do a touch-up of him, in maybe try clothing him with this, and try clipping out the clothing, the uniform, and sticking it on here and seeing how will that work. Hopefully it will work. But yeah, so that's mainly it for today. I'm going to do more on him off camera, but so far he's looking very good, I think, and it's really working out with shading and his colors. So in the next part, you'll probably see me clipping out the uniform, drawing on the previous page and sticking it over him and seeing how is that going to work. I don't know either, but I'll see anyway. So if you like what you've just watched, and if you'd like to see more, I do post very regularly. So why not like, why not subscribe, and join me again.